For those that know me, I'm Morley Wallace. And I'm the owner of GPS Ontario. We're a precision ag specialist out of North Gore, which is just south of Ottawa. We've been in business for over 20 years doing precision ag, and we have set up the company so that we do a complete service and product solutions for precision ag. So that means that from selling the equipment to installing the equipment, to teaching how to use the equipment, to programming and configuring the equipment for you, we do all of that. So think of us as a Home Depot of precision ag, where Home Depot will sell you the lumber, they'll sell you the drywall, they'll sell you the nails, they'll sell you the hammers and the saws, and give you the advice on how to put it together. And if none of that works, well then they'll send somebody else to do the job for you. That's kind of what we do. For 20 years now we've been in business, and in 20 years we have tried to come up with a complete solution for reducing the inputs required to grow a crop. And I would say as of over 10 years ago, I believe that we have come up with that theory, and then working on that theory we came up with the practicality side of it, and then we took that practicality side of it and we started to create equipment that matched the process. And then we've been, for the last 6+ years, testing that equipment, improving on the equipment itself, and now verifying that our results are correct. We're working with some of the universities, we're working with some of the dealers, seed dealers, fertilizer dealers, and that kind of stuff, talking to their agronomists as well, trying to work through the process. And what we have come up with is a program called Innovative Fertile Stripping. And innovative fertile stripping is the next step past strip till. So what we're doing now is we're applying the fertilizer out of these white bins down through tubes, metering it out, and blowing it into the lead of the trench that we're going to make. And then the coulters pick up that ground and that fertilizer, blend it, convert it into a light, fluffy, moist soil. Light, fluffy soil. And then in 24 to 48 hours, that ground has dried out and converted to that moist, warm soil. What does seed need or want? I think it wants light, fluffy, warm, moist, fertile soil. And if we can give it that, then it will grow rapidly. It will grow a root rapidly, and it will absorb the fertilizer that we put into that 6-inch by 5-inch trench rapidly. And then it will think, that seed will actually, I consider that seed having a brain. It will actually detect that there's more food in that trench than it needs, and it's on a smorgasbord, and it will help to produce larger cobs and taller, longer, more round cobs. The theory that we work on, that we have worked on for a while, when we go in and do fertile stripping, we're going to create a field, and it's going to look like this when we pull out. 6 inches wide strip, 4 or 5 inches deep, whatever you got for topsoil for it. But the 24 inches in between gets no fertilizer. Leave it in the bag. In that process, you can see that there's no big heavy clumps there. There's no big balls of mud or anything like that rolling up. It's a light, fluffy, moist, fertile soil. The process is all based on timing, and the time it takes for that seed to germinate, the time it takes for that root to germinate, the time it takes for that root to find fertilizer so that it can start to grow. So on a broadcast system, you're looking at basically 2-3 inches of soil where that fertilizer is going. Those roots will go rapidly there, but then there's nothing down here further for it to grow on, so or very little. So it may slow up growing. If we have the fertilizer right here in the 3x3, 2x2 band, it takes time for it to get out to that 3x3 band. Let's say that is upwards to 10 days. If you planted corn today and in 10 days you plant another field of crop, is there a difference between those two fields of crop on how they grow? There's no comparison between the two fields of corn as far as how they are growing between each other. We have looked at moles and shanks in the process. We do not go for the mole and shank. Some moles and shanks, all that fertilizer goes down that 4.5-5 inches deep. That's where the fertilizer lies. That's great for potatoes, but it doesn't work for corn. If you have a 3-inch mid-range on that shank, then yeah, that fertilizer is there. But if that root comes down and hits that 3-inch band, and that band is not broken down and converted, and it's a hot band, then you're going to burn your roots. You burn your roots at 3 inches, it's not going to go down to 5. It's going to stop there. So we're not a fan of the shank and ripping the fertilizer in. We're trying to stay away from the broadcast, and we're trying to stay away from the 2x2 band. What we're doing right now is all our fertilizer is going into that strip. And it's getting blended and breaking down quicker as a blended system than it would be in any of the other systems. Every one of these pearls of fertilizer, whether it's phosphorus, potash, sulfur, boron, whatever chemical happens to be that you've applied, they are surrounded by hundreds of particles of soil. So as soon as that pearl breaks down, that fertilizer is absorbed by the soil. And the microbes are breaking it down and converting it. And that just speeds up the whole process. The picture at the bottom, the cobs of corn, that was corn that we took a picture of last year, from last year's crop. They're basically 18 kernel round, 45 plus kernel long cobs of corn. And there was a whole field of that. So I was quite pleased with the results on that. And okay, that's what I'm going for again this year. Call me greedy, but that's what I'm going for. Does that theory make sense to you? The theory or the process or whatever.
This is just a starter fertilizer.
This is a complete fertilizer. This is phosphorus, potash, nitrogen. The whole bit goes into that trench. I put no fertilizer on the planter. The only thing that's on my planter is seed.
But you're not putting all the nitrogen in the zone.
No, because we side dress later with nitrogen, and our side dress bar that we built has Green Seeker on it, which is a NDVI reading piece of equipment, and each row gets read, and it automatically adjusts the amount of fertilizer going onto that row as it goes up and down the field. So we still are doing side dress, but we're not using a huge amount of 32% side dress. Not at all. I learned a few years ago. You don't give out numbers at this event. You can come to my farm and I'll show you the numbers off the computer.
So this is going to work good with the government's proposal of cutting back on nitrogen then.
Well, okay, so
That's voluntary though, right?
That
So far.
so far it's voluntary. So far there's several options for that. We're concerned about reducing the fertilizer, absolutely. I'm also concerned about the nitrous oxide emissions. And if we don't take care of the nitrous oxide emissions, then your fingers don't know what hurt is. Because the government is going to do something about that. I do believe we can reduce the fertilizer going into the soil because we are only concentrating on 5 inches of that soil, not the whole farm. We have tests going on with the University of Ottawa right now. We're into the second year of that. They are also testing water quality, and this piece of soil is a fairly sandy texture to it. So we have buried Rubbermaid totes into the soil with about 2 feet from the top of the soil, and then we planted our crop on top of that. And they're capturing the water, and then they're testing the water to see what kind of fertility is actually going down. I don't have any results at the moment. This will be the first year for the test, but stay tuned. And then on the 21st of September, there's an open house for farmers, bus tours, whatever, to come to the Smart Farm in Ottawa, which is the old agricultural farm between Woodruff and Fallowfield. There's a day event there that we'll be partially hosting along with the City of Ottawa, and you'll be able to see some of these testings going on. You'll be able to see some of the crops that we have grown and the different stages of fertilizer that we have planted. Like I got one 50-foot strip where I didn't put 25 pounds of N on. It shows.
Yeah.
We need more than that. Okay, but that's fine. We now know that we need more than 25. We don't need 90. So now we got to come up in between. We're working on that. As far as water quality is concerned, I think it will be an interesting set of results. Last year they did nitrous oxide testing. It was Professor Ted. All these results are actually on the command center at the Smart Farm for viewing. And the nitrous oxide testing that we did, conventional tillage was losing about 80 points of the nitrogen. Strip till, we were down to 65 to 70, or no till, strip till combination. And then the innovative fertile stripping, we were down closer to 3 to 5%. So a huge, last year was the first year for it. We're waiting for the second year results, and we'll probably wait for the third, fourth, and fifth before we, do anything major in publications on it. But the results are looking really good that this process works.